Hello Stampers! Boy, do I have a big, bold, beautiful card for you today. And I just love this stamp set that I used. It is called Artistically Inked. And if you think of big flowers on your card, boy, this is the one to get. And plus it has this awesome stamp right here, which is one of my favorite stamps right here, because boy, you can make like marbled backgrounds in no time at all. Like this was just used with that stamp to get this great background for this card. And just think of all the different colors you could use for marbling. So that can save you a little bit if you like the marbled style designer series paper. You can make your own. So we're going to start with our main panel on this. And this is all stamping, which I love. I'm going to start with my 3 3/4 square basic white panel. You can find all the dimensions for this card down below this video. Just click show more and you'll see them all there, along with all of the links to the products that I'm using today. Now, if you shop with me, I just wanted to let you know, when you shop and you spend $50, you're going to get 4 exclusive tutorials for me for the month. Every month I have 4 new ones that I send to customers. So keep that in mind. So we're going to start with our background for this. And like I said, we're going to use that multi-step stamp here. I love this because it has it'll give you dark spots and light spots all at the same time when you're stamping. We're going to start with our lightest color. And our lightest color is Petal Pink. So this just gives you that blush color, like kind of that real light coral. So I'm just going to stamp this at the top of the cardstock. See how it gives you that great image? And you can turn the stamp different ways as you're stamping to get a more random pattern there. Now I have it on the top of the cardstock. I'm just going to flip it over and do some on the bottom. I'm leaving a little bit of white in the middle here. Okay, so I did that with the Petal Pink. Now we're going to go and get some blue in our image. So I'm going to boho blue. So I'm going to use that same image and I'm just going to add it at the top and the bottom of the panel. Isn't that pretty? And I love that it leaves white. That is so nice to have that white in their background. It keeps it from being so busy, I guess is why I like it so much. Okay, so that was boho blue, and there is our background. Super simple. Now for our flowers, I'm going to stamp it the first time in pumpkin pie. So I have this big bold image here. Isn't that pretty? And it does just the same thing as that background stamp. It gives you some dark spots and some light spots in the image. And that's all just done with the stamp. So this is pumpkin pie. So I'm going to put one whole one right up here. Give it a good stamp. And then I'll do a partial one down here in this corner. All right, so there is our 2 poppies. I call them poppies. I think they look like poppies to me. So next I'm going to go to Cajun Craze. Now you could do any 2 colors that you wanted to, that you can imagine in flowers. So like it's like you could use yellow and red, or do some different blues or purples. So I've got Cajun Craze here, and I'm going to turn my stamp so it doesn't have a repeat pattern, and I'm going to stamp over that first flower. See how that gives you that multi-toned? And then I'll stamp it this other flower here. I just think that's fantastic, the way you can get that light and dark in there. So that is our flower petals. Now for the inside of our flowers, we have a stamp for that too, and I'm going to use Early Espresso for this. And this has like this little round, like it goes round and round here. And I'm just going to stamp that in the center of my flower. I'm going to turn it some. That way I get a different look with the second flower. And there is our centers. Well, you can't get much easier than the stamp set. So there is that. Now I'm going to take a basic black marker. I'm just going to use a brush end. And since this flower is up here high enough, I think it needs a stem coming off of it. So there's our little piece of stem. And then I'm going to use that Early Espresso again. And I've got this single leaf stamp. And I'm going to use that and add a leaf on this stem. And then I'm going to have one right next to this flower, like it's popping up from the side of the flower. Guess what? That is your whole main panel today. And it comes together so easy and it looks so great. So there is that. Now I'm going to bring in, I have a Cajun Craze panel. This is going to be our background panel for our project today. And I'm going to use Cajun Craze. And I'm going to stamp those flowers across the bottom half of this. And this is Cajun Craze on Cajun Craze. So the Cajun Craze panel is 4 by 5.25. And so I'm just going to stamp it randomly across the bottom of this scene here. Most of it won't be seen, but it just gives you some kind of interest to your background panel. And then I'm going to add just the centers to those flowers, and I'm going to use Early Espresso. And you really don't need them on all of them, maybe just the flowers that are on the edges so that you might see that. Okay, so there is our images on that panel. And I think I'm going to stamp the flowers one more time. And the reason I'm doing that is I want them a little darker. Because we're going to emboss this panel and that'll help so that you can still see those flowers. I'm not worried about that one because our main panel will be covering that. See how that made them darker? And so I'm going to go get a little more interest on this panel here. And I'm just going to emboss it with the Countryside Blossoms embossing folder. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right with you. Okay, I've run mine through the Stampin' Cut emboss machine, but I just wanted to mention that when you put it in the folder to emboss it, have it so it's face up and you see that Stampin' Up logo. That lets you know that you're embossing the correct side. So see how that ends up embossed, but yet it has that great design in the background. Okay, so now we're just going to add this to the front of our card here. And this card base is basic black and it's 5.5 by 8.5. And I've folded it in half to create my quarter card. So I'm just going to add this panel to the front of my card here. I'm going to use multi-purpose glue for this. Going to center it up there. There we go. You can flip it over and like give it a rub because you got a lot of texture going on there. You want to make sure you have good contact with your card. Now I have a couple strips here. These are basic black strips. Card front here. Just a little glue down each strip. And there's one. Just give it a little check, make sure it's where I want it. And then I'm going to add the second one. I'm only putting them like a 1/2 inch apart. I don't measure these things. I just guesstimate. Okay. There we go, and that is just for embellishment. Now I'm going to take my main panel here, and I'm going to put it on a 3 7/8 inch square panel. So it's just 1/4 inch. It's just 1/4 inch larger than our main panel here. It just gives us that dark edge. There we go, just centered that up. I'm going to add that to our card front. You can pop this up with Stampin' Dimensionals like I did on this first one. And then I thought, well, it's really probably not necessary, and it just gives you more bulk. So on this one, I'm just gluing it straight onto the card. And there's not much difference other than that height. So there is that. And I'm going to add a little embellishment to the front. And I have these are the 2023-25 in color dots. These are adhesive backed. And I'm just going to add some to the ends of these black strips, just to finish them off a bit. I love these dots. I think they're really pretty. And that ties back into that blue we have in the background there. It's always nice to try to use a color a couple times. It gives you a more finished looking piece. Okay, so there is our embellishment for the outside. We're moving right along here. Now inside of the card, I just wanted to embellish this piece a little bit. This is a basic white panel, and this is 3 3/4 by 5. It's going to go on the inside, and I just wanted to stamp it the same way that we did the ones on the outside. I'm going to start with that pumpkin pie and stamp our image just down in the corner. And then we'll do the Cajun Craze. And remember, we need to turn this, you know, like a quarter of the way here, so you get a different look to it, not that same pattern. And then we need that early espresso for the center of our flower. There we go. And there's the inside of our card. And then you can put whatever sentiment you want. There's some really nice sentiments in this stamp set you could use, like hello or best wishes, thanks, and happy birthday. Or bring in any other stamp set you may have. But I'm going to put a panel behind this, and I'm using a Cajun Craze panel for that. And it is 4 by 5 1/4. When you put that inside, it really finishes off the card. And I do these panels inside of the card just so that my card is weighted correctly, because the front of the card gets kind of heavy when you put multiple panels on. And so you don't want a flimsy back to your card. So when you put a couple panels on the inside, it just weights it nice and gives you a really elegant card. So there is our project for today. I hope you enjoyed this card and that you give it a try. Thanks for joining me. Toodles!